What up, Wizards? It's Dev, and Ziggy's in the shot too. See if you can find him. We're from Mtg. We like it a magic, especially on days like this, because I get to do my favorite video of the season. That's right. You see, everybody, myself included, likes talking about powerful new cards. Case in point, doing the top 25 cards in Wilds of Eldraine tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll get there. But you know what I like even more? I like talking about cards that nobody's really talking about. And even though this is a really hype set with a lot of cards that people are talking about, it was pretty easy to find 10 that people aren't taking seriously enough. So today, let's finally get to it. The top 10 sleepers in WoW. And I'm your favorite Magic Channel's favorite Magic Channel. Best believe that the professor go bananas for my deck tech. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and sub. That was, hey, that was like and subscribe to the tune of To Be Real as sung by Michael McDonald. I hope you enjoyed that. But let's get on to the list, man. I don't want to waste none of your time. It's valuable, so is mine. So let's go ahead and get to the honorable mentions, where I will immediately waste your time. There's 3 of these this time around because I just cannot help myself. No apologies given for that, and none needed. I want to chew on some new cards and give you some food for thought. Am I getting too meta? Or am I getting too Greta? Our first honorable mention today, that was a long way for a joke, but I think we actually made it across the finish line there. This card actually looks okay to me, but it's perfect for the first spot as an honorable mention in a sleepers video because I'm not that confident in it. But I think it's a good haircut. Looks all right. You know, a little value 3-drop. You can draw a card. You can gain life. You can put counters on guys. There's a lot of actual like choices on this card. So much versatility. And the stats aren't like totally embarrassing for the mana cost. So I think it could go somewhere even outside of food decks, which is why this entry isn't Knight of Sweet's Revenge. If I was just going to tell you about a card for food decks that people aren't taking seriously enough, it's Knight of Sweet's Revenge. This card is actually very good. Read it again. I'm telling you, it's not bad. But I think that Greta is just kind of better in a vacuum and outside of the context of a single deck, so she gets the slot. But hey, even the food deck with Greta in it looks kind of okay, you know? Getting wins with that deck isn't just easy. It's going to be a cakewalk. A cakewalk. But moving on to HM number 2, we got to talk about Gadwick's first duel. Somebody got slapped with a glove, and then it was just kind of on from there. It seems as though he should have had a duel by now. Let's put it that way. When did this happen in the history of Eldraine? Did it happen like a long time ago, and that's why we're getting a saga about it? Or is it just happening right now, and he's never had a duel before, and he's like 300 years old? What, doesn't make any sense. You got to back it up sometimes, Gads, is all I'm saying. What are you, Billy Mitchell? You got to duel people every now and again. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, Gadwick's first duel. It's 2 mana. For a thing that does everything. I don't know, man. It seems okay. Like, just scry 2 for 2 mana, plus, like, get 2 removal spell or sweeper faster. Copy removal spell, copy draw spell. You know, it's, oh, my goodness. It's only 2 mana to get this out. Just to remind you. And I'm basically done gushing about the card. But it's only 2 mana. No one's talking about this card. I don't get it. It looks really good. But our last honorable mention today is probably better than half the cards on the list, really, but it still kind of feels like an honorable mention because it's just a pump spell. It's Monstrous Rage, a card so aggressive that even the name sounds like an energy drink or something. You know, Monstrous Rage! You'll see the commercials soon. I just bust through a wall with a can in my hand. Monstrous Rage, dude! That's going to be... What are we talking about? I don't know. It keeps happening in this video, but at least I think we're having fun, right? Monstrous Rage, the card, not the energy drink. That doesn't exist. But the card here, this is a single mana to make a Monastery Swiftspear a 5/4 trample till end of turn. That's all it takes. This is 1 card and this 1 mana. That seems okay. And then after the turn's over, it's still a 2/3 trample for the rest of the game. So that's, come on. There's already kind of a mono-red pump spells deck on the fringes of Standard right now in Best of 1. And this obviously goes in that, but I think this could go into big boy, daddy, big grandpa mono-red. I've just kept going up a generation. But yeah, I think this goes in like actual for real mono red best of 1, best deck in best of 1, and actually might see some play, man. I'm telling you, for this kind of rate, this is an incredible effect. So just look out for it. That's all I'm saying. Let's get to the actual list. Now for number 10, let me start with a question. Okay, I think this is the best way to break the ice here. Do you want a one-sided Howling Mind that's also an 8/8? Do you want that? Then why don't you like Ingenious Prodigy? I just see people bagging on this card. Like, it's not quite there. And that's why it's on this list. Because people are very aware of this card. It's not necessarily a sleeper that, like, no one's heard of. I think people know this card's around, right? But I do think that people think that it's just, like, not good enough. That's the take that I keep seeing. And I think you might be wrong. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong, dude. Like, here's the thing. I'm just going to say Hydroid Krasis again, like knowing this isn't Hydroid Krasis. The Goose Mother is not Hydroid Krasis. Hydroid Krasis is a really, really, really good Magic card. You know, I think we mostly can agree on that, I think. Again, if you can't agree on that, you're wrong, bro. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun. But one way or the other, I do think that this is a scalable one-sided Howling Mine. Let me go back to that to restate my case on this thing right here. I love the fact that it is scalable. You know, early game-ish, this can be like a 2/2 or 3/3, draw you a couple cards, maybe block once it gets down to 1/1. It has some use cases there, right? But especially in the late game, once this can come down as a 6/6, that drops down to a 5/5, draws you a card, 4/4 draws you a card, 3/3 draws you a card. It's fantastic. Especially like non-control blue decks that actually tap their mana and stuff. They do exist. I think that's why everybody hates this card. So it's blue, but you can't play it on your opponent's turn. So it's bad. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I really like this card. I think I've made that clear. But yeah, just anytime you see a thing that draws you an extra card every turn and can also be like a 5/5, I think it's a like must kill threat, and those need to be respected. I know that's kind of an inflammatory opinion on Prodigy. Sorry to be a fire starter. Hey, if you're old, you get it. Number 9 is Spectre of Mortality. This was number 3 until people started talking about it. That's right, the professor put it in one of his videos, and suddenly people know that it exists. And I was like, you friend of mine. So, you know, but I think his take was mostly for Commander. I think that you should be taking this card pretty seriously in Standard, if for no other reason than like Reanimator sideboards might want to play something like this, you know. Reanimator in best of 3 tends to get kind of flushed down the commode by aggro decks a lot of the time, especially the currently extant aggro decks in Standard. Just kill them on turn 4. They don't care. They don't care you're doing stuff over this. Who cares? They're just going to run you down. So I think that a card like this is actually really sweet in the sideboard for when you are able to rip off that removal spell, or even if you just get to the amount of mana to play this, you could ramp, and most of the, you know, Reanimator decks in Standard currently do ramp. So hitting this on turn 4 and just sacrificing that Atraxa to the sweeper gods or whatever, I think is like a perfectly reasonable play, and one that does strengthen these, you know, best of 3 Reanimator decks pretty well. And even in best of 1, you might see like 1 or 2 copies of these in some Reanimator lists. They're like fairly heavy on creatures. So again, I think this is pretty worth bringing up because I think it has a real niche to slot into it. What is this in Standard? A niche to slot into. It's almost inappropriate in Standard. Sorry for that. They tell you to move your hands a lot on YouTube. I'm just doing what they tell you to do. I do it anyway. When I talk, I do this all the time. But one way or the other, Spectre does look like a pretty solid card, and I think that people are taking it seriously in some formats, namely Singleton formats, but I think this is worth looking at in Standard. Number 8 is Woodland Acolyte. It's amazing it took us this long to get to an adventure creature in a set with like 200 adventure creatures, but it's not going to be the last one we see today. Now, you might be thinking that means that if it's not the last one that we're going to see, but it's the first one we see, it's the worst one in the video. I guess that's technically true, but I still think this card is very, very good. The Reclaim mode on this, just a single mana at instant speed to get back a Planeswalker or creature, some other important permanent, right? Very good, I think. Just end of your opponent's turn, top something. You know how much I love the top? It's a good mode for just a mana, dude. That's not bad at all. Especially EOT, you know, these like Bant and Abzan sort of Planeswalker mid-range list could really use a dude like this. You know, we already see like Spirited Companion, Ambitious Farmhand, these kind of like cheap value creatures that draw cards or, you know, go get land in Ambitious Farmhand's case. We see these in like the mono white, you know, control or mid-range lists. So I don't think that it's completely out of the realm of possibility for a creature like this that's just basically a value 3-drop in a land full of incredible 3-drops. I don't think it's impossible for it to see play, given that it has this amazing, like, sort of late and mid-game mode on it. If it's getting back a Sheoldred or a Planeswalker or something like that, I think you're feeling really, really good about having chosen to play this card. Number 7 is Fawns Bane Troll. What do you have against the Fawns? He's the coolest guy. Anyway, sweet card no one's talking about. I think it just kind of looks normal in this day and age, which blows my mind. If you'd have shown me in like 2006 or something, like a 4-mana 5/5 that also has a removal mode on it, I'm pretty sure it'd be like the best card in Standard. Now, counterpoint, it isn't 2006. You're absolutely right. It's we're almost 20 years past that, but I still think even 2 decades after the fact, that's a good card. It's a pretty good card. It can just be a 4-mana 5/5. That's what you don't ever have to do the fight thing if you don't want to fight with it. But if you've got something to fight, I guess you just do that. just do that, right? It can also fight stuff. Come on, man. A 4-mana 5/5 with a removal mode? Like, you're not gaslighting me on this one. I know that this is a good Magic card, no matter what era of Magic we're in. I'm not trolling. Number 6 is Likeness Looter, LL Cool Fae. That is the absolute best nickname I think I've ever come up with for any card. But this is a sweet little dude, man. It's a looter. It even says so on the card. It says looter. This can just be anything. It can be anything in the world. It could even be a boat. You have no idea what the possibilities are here. So long as you've got dudes in your graveyard, this can be that. So if you want to turn it into a graveyard trespasser, get in, eat a thing, drain your opponent, that's cool. If you want to turn it into a Shelly, it can be a Shieldred. Your opponent killed your Shieldred, and a couple turns later, you're like, nah, I'm just going to slap this down and immediately turn it into Shieldred because I have the mana to do that. Let's go. So oof, like what are you thinking? It's a good card. I know we're all talking about like the adventures in the set and stuff like that, and like how sick some of these cards are, and oh, did you see this? No one has really said that about Looter to me, and that is it's nuts. What world are we living in where no one is talking about this card? I really think it might be one of the better cards in the set, and I'm serious. This is a look at it. Read it again. We're halfway down the list, and I'm already coming back for seconds. What a card, man. I've had a couple of people in my comments section this spoiler season say that this might be the best card in the set. I have seen that take in my comments section and literally nowhere else. No one's talking about this card outside of my community, which is the case with a lot of these. So there's a couple of cards that if you're in my community and you've watched all the spoiler season content, there's probably at least 2 entries later on down the list. You'll be like, we got to talk about these cards again? But yes, at least one more time. But yeah, it's a 3-mana spell that kind of ramps you into a 4-drop. Woo! Like, okay, let's go a little bit. Again, I hate to keep selling seashells down by the Shieldred, but again, 4-drop. That's a very important number especially for black decks and standard. So you get that back for free and an extra card. Like, what, 3 mana? Come on. I feel like this sleeper video is slightly different than all the other sleeper videos I've ever done. And I've been doing this for like 8 years. So that's a lot of sleeper videos. Usually I over-justify everything, and I just think of like an incredibly narrow situation where it's like, well, if you get these 8 cards on the table, Rube Goldberg machine, Pee Wee Herman making breakfast. R.I.P. Pee Wee, by the way. I love you very much. Miss you already. But yeah, if you do this complex series of very precise actions with 10 different cards in your deck, then maybe this card is good. But this season, I don't feel like I have to do that. This season, I can just do things like, huh? Like, read it again and, you know, come on and all that stuff. I feel like I can do that now because like, there's a lot of like marketable cards that a lot of people have seen in this set, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that people just haven't really set eyes on yet. And once you do, you know, if you see a card like Back for Seconds and it doesn't get the brain juices flowing, like, I don't know, man, just play some Magic. So let's move on to number 4, which is Threadbind Click. Look, this is one of those that I was saying a second ago. If you've been watching the content, the spoiler season, you're probably like, Dad, do we have to, are we talking about this card again? Yes, we are, because you're still not taking it seriously. And I honestly think it's actually one of the best cards in the set. Look, I'm probably wrong. I'm often wrong, and I can admit that. It takes a strong person. But I think I might have something here, dude. It's a removal spell, okay? And then it's a 3/3 flyer. Oh, look, I'm not going to do the Brazen Borrower thing, where I do the 5-minute comparison of Brazen Borrower and then somebody calls me nuts in the comments. I'm not doing that, but I am going to say removal spell at instant speed on the one half, chunk bottom flyer on the other half. So can we just kind of go a little bit? Like, have we reached the point where this impresses no one? Am I the lone person standing in the back of the crowd? Everyone else has moved on ahead towards civilization, and I'm back in the wilderness being like, this is, guys, you know, I don't think so. I think that I'm actually standing in the middle of town being called the town fool for liking this card. And I just think that you're not, I'm actually trying to tell you about heliocentrism, and you're like, no, man, the sun revolves around the earth. You're not, see, but I'm telling you, I'm probably wrong. I'm probably just put a big dunce cap on me or something like that, because I'm pretty sure this isn't going to perform to the expectations I want to have for it and still don't allow myself to. But I still think, all those things shed aside, that a 3-mana removal spell, I know it's the 2023, 3-mana removal is poopy, it's stinky, it's bad. But 3-mana instant speed removal, big lady. So I think we're talking, is all I'm saying. Can I just finish with that? I think it impresses me. But on to the top 3, where we'll look at Spell Scorn Coven, the last adventure creature in the set, and another card that you're probably like, we've talked about this. And yeah, it's a spoiler season. We have to talk about it. But as far as the sleeper video goes, or if you're watching this in the future, you didn't participate in spoiler season at all. If you're watching this 2 years from now, comment, let me know that you're doing that. Because you don't have the context of spoiler season whatsoever, unless you went back and watched all of this season's spoiler season videos in preparation to watch this season's sleepers video, in which case, thanks. See, you're getting here a remand kind of effect, divide by 0 or something like that on one half. And then you're getting an ETB trigger on the creature that makes them discard a card. I think that this is kind of bonkers, to be honest. I feel like there's a lot of people who have forgotten how disgusting adventures can be in Standard. I know it's been a couple of years, right? But I think that a lot of people look at these and they evaluate them like, well, the removal spell isn't good. It's not as good as the best removal spell that's ever been printed with this effect, so it's not good. And then the creature half is not good, so it's just not a good card. And we all made that same mistake with adventures in Throne of Eldraine. And I guess I'm just trying to say I don't want to make that same mistake. I think there's a lot of people not taking cards seriously enough, and this is way up the ladder of cards that people aren't taking seriously enough. ETB trigger that digs into your hand and a thing that puts a spell back in your hand, like, yeah, man, I think that it's probably worth what it's asking. But we got to get to the last couple of cards. You see, these are number 2 and 1, because for the most part, this list, we've been looking at cards that give you some kind of, incremental value, or, oh, have you thought about this? And look at this guy. It's a reclaim and it draws you a card. Look at that. It's a removal spell and they discard a card. The incremental value. I'm a nerd. So those cards are very good and they usually help you win a game. But last couple of cards on the list this time are cards that can just outright win the game immediately when you cast them or within a turn or so, and I think that those often more important. So let's look for number 2 here. The Lich Knight's Conquest. Kind of freaked out about this card on day 1 of spoiler season, and then it never left my mind. I never forgot about it. I never will. It just seems like so much fun value. If we still had like Fable of the Mirror Breaker in Standard, I think this card would just be kind of like completely busted. 100% busted. Oh, I get to discard 2 guys and you make a token and there's a saga and it makes a treasure sometimes. So that's plenty of stuff to bargain. Like, oh my God, with Fable in Standards card would have been nuts, but I still think it's pretty bananas even without Fable. There's tons of ways to enable this, tons of like permanents that let you discard cards and you can bargain them away and stuff. I think it is going to be very easy to set up a Reanimator deck with this card, and it wouldn't surprise me if in, the next few months, this was the actual best Reanimator spell in Standard. But it's time for the number 1 sleeper in Wilds of Eldraine. I don't know why I did that. Just felt like it would add effect, but I don't think it actually worked. But let's look at the Apprentices Folly. Well, animate a broomstick, accidentally lose control of it, and insert it somewhere into my body. This card looks really, really good, man, and I just don't see nobody talking about it. One person in my chat, one single person in my chat was talking about how good this card might be, and I agree with them, it turns out. Copying 2 guys? Copying 2 guys? This is probably another card that would be better or worse if Kiki Jiki, Fable of the Mirror Breaker was still in the format. But even without it, man, you can't copy Shieldred twice or whatever. You can't copy anything twice. So that does kind of put a slight damper on the issue here, right? You want to play this on turn 4 if you're curving. So you want to copy a 3-drop and then a 2-drop, because that's right. You play 2-drop, 3-drop. It copies the 3-drop. The next turn, it can't copy the 3-drop again, so you copy the 2-drop. If you followed all of that. So I think that you definitely have to like play creatures. They have to stay out if you're going to curve this. But I actually think this works best not on curve. It works best in these kind of like mid-game situations where it might be like turn 7 or something like that. But you draw this or you have enough mana to play it and something else. You slam them onto the table and suddenly this is going to create a lot of advantage for you, especially over the course of a couple of turns. And again, especially if you have multiple creatures worth copying. And in a deck like, let's say, Grixis, it shouldn't be too hard to figure that out. Copy a Shieldred, copy a Corpse Appraiser, that seems very good. So, you know, I could actually see this card seeing a ton of play too, just because it's this amazing, like, not even top end, like mid-game play that does compete with Shieldred and other cards for slots, but I still think it's going to be more than worth putting in your deck a lot of the time. Looks like it can break a game wide open, and if that first guy doesn't do it, the second guy might, as long as the enchantment stays out. So I just think this is another one that we should really be taking a look at. Reflections, you see what I did? I didn't mean to do it, but I'm going to count it as a pun. Just hit me up in the comments. Let me know how you felt about everything, and then do all the other stuff. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, especially now because tomorrow's top 25. Then we'll start doing deck techs. We've got early access this year on Twitch, so follow over there. Check us out on Patreon, just $1 a month to help choose the first decks that we do this season. So, and Patreon poll should be going up tomorrow, the first one of the season. So get in there. $1 a month is all I ask. And you can vote on stuff. That's a good trade. Yeah, it's $1. Come on. It's like less than a drink costs like $2.29 at the gas station now. So come on. $1? You know, I'm worth $1. But anyway, just like your mom. Okay, so let's move on to the let's move on to the couch card of the day. Now, I've been picking off this side of the couch over here, which I believe I've referred to as the left side of the couch on multiple occasions. It is definitely the right side of the couch. It is 100% the right side of the couch. I don't know why I don't know my right from my left. So let's try this side of the couch and see what we get. Quick snap. What's it going to be? Oh, my goodness. Okay. It's a Searing Spear Ascari, illustrated by Richard Kane Ferguson, if I had to take a guess looking at the artwork. Yes, you can tell, oh, man, you can tell RKF like immediately when you see him, dude. What a sweet card, too. One of the knights from Mirage Block, which I was just talking about how much I like these Mirage Block knights the other day. This is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 2/2 knight with flanking. Have you ever heard of that? Whenever a creature without flanking is assigned to block this creature, the blocking creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn. So if it's blocked, the guy that blocked it gets smaller, basically. You can also pay 1 and a red to have Ascari not be blocked by, cannot be blocked by only one creature this turn. All these Mirage Block Knights mean a lot to me, and I'm kind of glad I get to talk about them because that's the couch card. But anyway, I think we should be done. I think we should probably be done. I said I wasn't going to waste your time, and I probably have. What are we, 25 minutes in? So let's get out of here, guys. You guys go home and enjoy yourselves. I am Dev from the place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.